Hello everybody and welcome to the first round of the 2023 GP4 Offline Championship. We are here at the Road America circuit in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for the United States Grand Prix. The first ever time the top class will race here at Road America as we have 47 laps coming your way here at Road America. I'm JW97 and I'm joined today by Dennis Graff.
Yep, hello everyone. It's good to be here. Finally, this season starts now with the first race. Yeah, I'm absolutely hyped for this.
Yeah, indeed, and well, if qualifying was anything to go by, hopefully the race will be very exciting indeed. Well, let's go through the grid then for the first race of the season, 4x4 as per usual. So, on pole position for the 30th time in his career, it is Armar in the Mercedes. Alongside him is his new teammate, Jesus Perinen, ensuring a Mercedes front row lockout for the first race of the season. Barges Kloss in the improved Haas is a very impressive third, with George Roke alongside him in fourth.
Behind them, we have a shocking row 3 with Kiroshima Di Rosa in P5 and Andrea Federi in an absolutely astonishing P6. In P7, we have Laura Chang, and in 8, we have Gabriel Gomez, of course, returning.
P9 goes to Felix Sontag in the improving Williams, with Johannes Martins after having a suspension failure in Q2, starting in 10th position. Benz Valdinger starts 11th in the Sauber, with Roman Quag thanks to crashing out in Q2, starting in 12th.
Another returnee is in P13 with Julius Anderson. Right behind him is Joseph Willows in the McLaren. In P15, we have Michael Moccio in the Lamborghini. And then we have Evan Byrne, P16 in the Red Bull. Very poor qualifying from him.
Yep, thanks to a spin, of course. P17 goes to Rahul Patel in the Sauber, followed by debutant Andrei Sazonov, starting 18th for Aston Martin. Jafari Blackwood in his debut is a disappointing 19th for Lamborghini, with Franco Lopez, thanks to misery in Q1, starting in 20th for his new team Toyota. And on the back row of the grid, Dennis?
We have Chris Chatfield in Ferrari and Josef Felix Soto in the second Aston Martin.
I've only just realised that Yuri's actually spelt Jose's first name wrong. It's spelt with a Z, not an S. But anyway, we're about to get underway for the United States Grand Prix. There is a bit of cloud cover, but there is no rain expected. So, without further ado, let us get on with the first race of the 2023 GP4 Offline Championship. And hopefully, it is going to be quite an exciting race indeed here at Road America. As we look at the loading screen then, as we get set for 47 laps of action coming your way. I do expect most of the field to be on one stop, but we could see the odd trying to go for the two stop here at Road America, but we shall wait and see when we get onto the grid. So here we are then on the grid then for the start of the United States Grand Prix. Both Mercedes is opting for a one-stop strategy. It is Carr on the left of your screens, Perinen on the right. Who is going to get the lead into the first corner as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the 2023 season. 4 lights are on, 5 lights are on. And it is lights out, and away we go for the 2023 season. And who is going to get the lead into the first corner? It's a good start from Jesus Perinen. There's alongside Carr into the first corner. Kloss trying to find a way through, but Roker's going to jump. Looks like Roker's going to try and grab the lead. DeRosa's up into 4th place. A good start from him. Kloss got a little bit boxed in and has dropped down to where his teammate is. Chung's got a good start over to 6th place, but it's Carr who keeps the lead. And the first couple of corners, the two Hasses are still side by side out of turn 2 now. And as Chung overtakes Kloss, who's made a terrible start back in. Boxed in for Dairy is dropping down places. Meanwhile, Perinen is going for the lead on Carr, heading down towards the hill now then. Down the inside he goes, and Perinen grabs the lead from his teammate. Jesus Perinen leads the United States Grand Prix as Roke tries to have a go at Carr as well, but can't make the move stick going up the hill now then. But it's Perinen who leads, Carr in second, Roke in third, DeRosa in fourth, but he's got Chung all over the pack. Has had a cracking start from 7th place and up into 6th. It's Gabriel Gomez in the Toyota. What a start from the Brazilian.
Yeah, absolutely amazing start from Gomez, indeed, gaining 2 places already in the new Toyota, returning Toyota. And yeah, also dream start for Perinen, of course, but he's under attack from Carr already. But Carr has to settle right, and also Roke is very close.
Indeed, Carr trying to reclaim the lead from his team, but he's got to be aware that George Roke is right behind him as to make the way around the right hand. And we go. We're looking for any opportunity to pounce. As meanwhile, Quag has now overtaken Kloss as well. Looks like Kloss is going backwards, going down through the field after he got boxed in at the start, despite that initial good getaway that he got on the 2 Mercedes behind. He can't seem to be able to make progress as Chung is all over the back of DeRosa. But meanwhile, Carr is going back for the lead now then on Jesus Perinen as Roke watches on to see if he can pounce on any opportunity. Down the inside goes Armar Carr. Roke sets the early fastest lap of the race. We exit lap 1 of the race as now Carr reclaims the lead from Perinen, and now Roke wants to try and attack Chung, unable to get DeRosa at this point in time, surprisingly. But Carr is now back in the lead, and it looks like he's got a gap from Perinen. He might now be under pressure from George Roke here.
Yeah, absolutely. Roke is in prime position here to take P2 away from Perinen, who very easily got repassed by Amarka. You know, George Rowe goes down the inside but cannot make the move stick. But Chung does up into P4.
A great move there from Laura Chung. She's up in the 4th place. She's making her way through the field. Klaas is able to get back 1 place as Quark is actually now down into 9th place. He's now lost the place to Videri, surprisingly, as it seems that everybody went through the first 2 corners. A terrible start from Evan Byrne, it must be said. He's down to 20th. It looks like he might have got a little bit boxing at the start like Klaas did.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, to be down 4 places in the Red Bull is very terrible indeed. But now Rogue comes against Perinen. No, not a chance here.
It looks like Roke is obviously carrying a little bit lighter fuel than what Perinen has got. Perinen's got around about 5 laps heavier fuel than what Roke has got in the tank. I think Car is a little bit light fueled as well compared to Perinen, but they're all on the same strategy, so that might be hampering Perinen just a little bit, but it's allowing Car to get away. He's got a 1.4 second lead over his teammate at the moment as they make way out the final corner. Byrne is now up into 19th place, gets the move done as Haslam, but now here comes George Roke on the inside now then of Jesus Perinen as they make their way up through the hill. Car now sets the fastest lap of the race as they go side by side down towards the first corner. A comparison between the Mercedes and the Honda engine. Look how much speed the Mercedes has got heading down towards the first corner, and that is enough for Perinen to stay in front for the time being as Klaas is now up into 6th place. It looks like Gomez has also lost the place of Videri in the meantime, so it looks like Gomez might have got a little bit mugged coming out of turn 1 there.
Yeah, I think it actually was like this. I believe actually the Red Bull doesn't have the best straight line speed because we could see that Perinen actually did go away from him and can work something doing brakes. No, Martins meanwhile was attacking Gomez and is through.
He's up into P8 now, as meanwhile in the points is one of the Williams. Meanwhile, I think that's Felix Sontag, who's currently in the points. As meanwhile, Quark's getting attacked by Joseph Willows. In the meantime, now then, as Byrne's still trying to make his way back through the field, Lopez bringing up the rear of the field in the Toyota, so he also didn't get a good start to this race either. And it is Sontag who's up in the points. Meanwhile, as it's now, Perinen has got 2 cars right behind him. It's not just George Rowe, but now Laura Chung has found herself in the fight as well, and she's also on the same strategy as the top 3.
Yeah, Chung could play a big role here as he comes to the slipstream, while Rogue isn't able to make the move. Perinen has to make contact, but they keep it on track.
A little bit of contact there, maybe a little bit of impatience from Rogue, but that's given Chung an opportunity to maybe try and pounce, but that was very close for disaster there for both Perinen and Rogue on that occasion. You could argue that maybe Perinen just moved on the braking a little bit there, but luckily nothing major happened between the pair of them.
Yeah, luckily not, so they both can continue, but now Rogue is under huge pressure from Laura Chung. Can she make the move in turn 1?
Rogue might have the assistance though of the slipstream in front from Perinen, and that might help him out, and he will use that to his advantage. He's going on the inside, so Chung can't really move from this point in time, and she'll be hoping that Rogue can pull the move off. Meanwhile, 3 wide in the background. Meanwhile, as Martins, Klaas and Videri are side by side with each other. Videri's up into 6th place. I think there might have been a tiny bit of contact there between Klaas and Rogue is up into 7th place, 2nd position. I was just going to say, I think there might have been a bit of contact between Klaas and Martins there, but Rogue has finally got up into 2nd place after being stuck behind the Mercedes for quite a while in this Grand Prix, and now Perinen will have Chung all over the back of him.
Yeah, absolutely, but now Jesus Perinen is of course determined to, I was about to say to get the gap down to Rogue, but already he has put some good gap, but now Chung comes.
Let's see what the straight line speed is like with Chung compared to the Mercedes. It looks like she's got better straight line speed than what George Roque has. Down the inside goes Chung, but not able to pull the move up. Perinen holds on for the time being as Martins takes P7 from Bartosz Klaas, heading into the left-hander there.
Yep, absolutely impressive start for Martins, already gaining 3 places this first couple of laps. Yeah, he shows to have some good pace, but Quark is, I think, stuck a little bit.
Yeah, indeed. Byrne is still down in 19th. He's still not been able to pass Jafari Blackwood in the Lamborghini. But look at the lead that Cara has got. A 4.2 second lead over George Roque. Suter has a little bit of a moment going around the carousel whilst under pressure from both the Saubers of Patel and Valdinger. Valdinger has not had a good start. He's down to 16th position. Meanwhile, Videri is trying to pressure his fellow compatriot De Rosa as Chung once again tries to put pressure on Jesus Perrin in the fight for the final podium place whilst George Roque tries to get away from the pair of them.
Yep, he already got a 1 second gap, but now Jesus must be definitely looking at his rearview mirror, but I think Chung now has a good opportunity to make a move.
Here we go then as Car sets another fastest lap of 1 minute 29.167. Chung trying to get on the inside, but it looks like Perrin might actually have the straight line speed compared to the Haas at the moment, unless Chung can get later on the brakes into the first corner, which he can't. So once again, Perrin able to hold on. Is it P5 for Andre Videri in the Ferrari? What a race he's having in that ailing Ferrari.
Yeah, indeed. It's I thought he would go back down the order, but no, he stays up there even made up a place in comparison to start. Also, I noticed Suto gained 8 places.
Yeah, he's up into 14. A great start for him from last on the grid as we now turn our attention back to Perinin and Chung. Chung once again trying to line up a pass on Hayes' Perinin here heading down the hill. Chung now looking to the inside of Perinin heading down towards that left-hander. Can she pull the move off this time by on the Spaniard heading down towards his left-hander? She's late on the brakes down the inside and she gets the move done. Chung up into 3rd position.
Yep, there's the move we are talking about. Yeah, but Perinin will be close, but also Federi is also already very close to the back of these two.
I wonder what strategy Federi is on. I'm just a little bit curious with that at the moment because of how quick he is in the Ferrari. I'm just a little bit curious as to whether he's on a 1-stop or whether he's probably one of the odd few that's trying to go for a 2-stop. Blackwood's on a 2-stop, but he's just made contact there with Gomez. He's actually down to 14th position. What has happened to Gomez in all of this? He seems to have been swamped over the last few laps.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to him actually, but maybe his tires are already not working that well. As Blackwood makes a great move here into the kink.
Amazing move from the debutant. He's up into 14th place in the Lamborghini, making a great recovery from 19th on the grid. As Gomez trying to fend off from the 2 Saubers who are side by side. Excuse me. Heading into the right hand, and my voice decided to pack up there as I was speaking there. But yeah, great move from the Jamaican driver, the first Jamaican driver in the top class, of course.
Yeah, absolutely committing to the move here, and yeah, that was rewarded with the great pass.
Indeed so, and Gomez now dropping down through the field despite the impressive qualifying that he showed yesterday. He's dropping down through the field and he's now down into 15th position. So maybe, as some people may be pointing out in the stream chat, maybe Toyota's race pace not that good today.
Yeah, indeed. It's, look, Suto actually is in 13th hour, pressuring Quark as well. So Quark also not having good pace, as mentioned before. But now Diosa is under pressure for Martins.
Videri's up to 4th, he's past Perinin. And before the first corner, Videri, who's on a 2-stop, we could see that from the fuel load, but he's making the 2-stop work, and he's up into 4th place, sorry. Meanwhile, Martins up into 6th. Meanwhile, Joseph Willows has been making progress with the field. He's also, I think, on a 2-stop strategy. He's up into the points as well, and now attacking his teammate De Rosa. So the 2-stop is clearly being quick at the moment, as expected.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, they don't have the high load in the corners as much as now Willows goes down the inside and takes 7th place from Diosa here.
Kloss is down to 10th meanwhile. He's obviously on the 1-stop, so clearly he's falling backwards from 3rd on the grid. As meanwhile Valdinger passes Patel into the corner. Byrne still down in 18th. He's got Sazonov still breathing down his neck at the moment as the Byrne still caught up in a bit of traffic. As meanwhile Lopez is in 21st. He's no longer in last position. I'm not 100% sure who's now bringing up the rear of the field. But anyway, meanwhile Videri is now actually closing in on Chung, so he's trying to make this 2-stop work in the ailing Ferrari.
Yeah, as if you gain as much many time as the 1-stop, compared to the 1-stoppers, you could have an advantage with the tires later on in this race.
Yeah, indeed, and Chung is a little bit under pressure here from the Ferrari, both of them powered by the same Ferrari engine, of course, as expected, but clearly Videri wants to try and make the strategy work as he's now on the inside of Lower Chung, heading up the hill, and he's already got the move done. Look at the straight line speed the Ferrari has got, proving how quick that engine is, and Videri, who set the fastest lap of the race, has moved up into 3rd place.
Yeah, definitely unexpected, to be honest, but he's able to do some, but he's making great use of it, as Martin's now on the back of Pernin.
Indeed, as no, I think Martin's actually on the back of Willows, in fact, not Perrin. Perrin is in front of Willows there. Willows currently in 6th place because Sontag's up to 8th. De Rosa dropping down the field now, but Martin's trying to attack. He's on the 1-stop, so he's not like he's on a one. He's not like he's on the 2-stop. But obviously, we saw how quick the straight line speed is of the Renault. But Martin's still unable to get the move done on Willows. And the pair of them at the same time are now starting to catch up to, as you mentioned earlier on, Dennis, to Hayes' Perrin.
Yep, indeed. So that will be interesting as Chatfield is out. Problem.
It's a mechanical problem that looks like it's a transmission problem, and Chris Chatfield becomes the first retirement of the 2023 season thanks to a gearbox issue. So while one Ferrari is currently flying, the other one, who was bringing up the rear of the field, is out with a gearbox issue.
Yeah, maybe that was the reason why he was so slow, but yeah, that's not good at all. Not good start of the season for Chatfield, and of course he had to park the car, and his race is finished.
Indeed, and it's game over for him. He'll have to move on to the Brazilian Grand Prix next week in Interlagos, as the yellow flags have now just been cleared for Chris Chatfield there. As meanwhile, Willows and Martins now gaining onto Perrin now then, who seems to be struggling a little bit on his one-stop as Martins tries to go for a move on Willows, but can't make it stick. Very close to contact between the McLaren and the Renault there, as they're trying to put pressure on the Mercedes in front of the moment, as Carr still has a 4.7 second lead over George Roque in the meantime, as they make their way through into the final turn now then. Is Willows and Martins going to attack the Mercedes going up the hill? Willows now on the inside of the Mercedes drivers. Verderi sets another fastest lap of 128.6 as Willows now takes P5 from Jesus Perrin, and the BMW power working well in that McLaren. He's up into P5. Perrin tries to find a way back through but can't make it stick, and now Martins is now going to try and attack Perrin at this stage, and both of them of course are on the same strategy here.
Yep, that will be now a direct fight for position here without the strategies implemented, I would say. As now Martins is sending it down the inside. Can he make the move, or is he a bit too far behind?
Going to dive it down the inside. He's got the move done, and he's up into P6 now then in the Renault, as Sontag takes P9 from Kottigan. It looks like those two are swapping places at the moment at this stage. Suto now up into P11, Blackwood up into 12th place whilst all this was going on towards the front, and we talked about this yesterday during qualifying with Franco Gamba, but this track, as Mocho locks up going into that left-hander, still under pressure from Franco Lopez, this track has been known for overtake fests in both DTM and World Champ Car, and the top class is proving it at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing how many overtakes we're having, great battles, and yeah, so far it's been a great start to this race.
Indeed, as meanwhile here comes Byrne, who's now on the back of Valdinger heading through the right hander, still can't make any progress. He's still down in 18th place at the moment, is the Irishman, as he tries to find a way through on the Hungarian heading through this right hander, but still can't make it stick, and once again is stuck behind the Sauber. Byrne is not making the progress that he was expecting today.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, every one of us would be expecting Evan Byrne to gain some places very early, but now Suto's in the points, but now Blackwood's also coming, and I think he could pick up both places here.
Down the inside, he's trying to find a way through on Suto, who hangs it around the outside, so Suto holds on for the time being. But yeah, Blackwood on a roll, and looks like Kloss, like with Perrin, is struggling on that one stop at the moment, as, well, Kloss is actually going to try and get Blackwood back if he can, but I don't know if Blackwood's literally... Meanwhile, look at Verderi, who's now on the back of George Roque. This is the fight for second place. Of course, Verderi is approaching his pit stop window, so I don't think Roque will worry too much about the Ferrari, but Verderi making progress through the field as he tries to make this two-stop work in the ailing Ferrari.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, so far, although the strategy is playing in his hands, is now Byrne, I think, finally passed Waldinger.
He has indeed, as Verderi has a go at Roque into this fast right-hander. He's on the inside, so goes side by side out of the corner now, but Roque just holds on for the time being. Blackwood now up into 10th place. He's now got his Lamborghini into the points now then, as Verderi tries again on Roque into the right-hander, but can't make it stick as they now make their way in towards the final couple of corners. We go on this racetrack. Car will soon start lap 10 of the race. In the meantime now then, as they make their way into the final turn, is Verderi going to get the move done on Roque as they make their way up the hill now then. Verderi on the inside of the Red Bulls. They go side by side heading towards turn one. He's already got the straight line speed and he's pitting at the end of this lap, but Verderi, before his pit stop, is now up into second place.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. I mean, it's a difference if you have a lighter car and doesn't make something of it, but Verderi's making absolutely everything out of the opportunity, and yeah, this could still be a great race for him.
Oh, Patel's got a problem. He's coming to the pits with a mechanical. It's an electrical issue for Rahul Patel. So he was meant to be on a one-stop, but that strategy has gone down the toilet for Patel, and he's had to be forced to pit thanks to an electrical problem in the Sauber.
Yeah, absolutely not ideal for him. I mean, he was, to be honest, very much in the back already, but now he's down to last with that issue.
And well, that's that really. That's that for Patel, so he's down to the back of the field. Yui's just mentioned that the pit crews, of course, will be fixed next race. Of course, some of them are a little bit incorrect, but of course, we know that Andre Verderi is pitting at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, Willows is now starting to close in on one of his former teammates, that being Laura Chung in P4. Of course, Willows, like with Verderi, is on the two-stop in this race, so you would imagine that Willows may get past Chung very quickly here.
Yep, indeed, as now we look at this three-way fight between Suto, Sontag, and Diosa.
Yep, sometimes trying
to move here.
Montag's trying to have a go, but can't make his stick. Suto trying to hang around the outside. He's also on a 2-stop, like with Willows and Viderius. I think Viderius is now going to be coming into the pits very, very soon in the Ferrari, and he is in the pits. As meanwhile, Willows gets by on Chung down the pit straight, and that will be P3 because, of course, Videri is now into the pits. So Willows is up in the top 3 as Videri now comes in for his scheduled pit stop. The first of what we think is 2 pit stops in this race.
Yeah, but these Suto makes the move as will get new fuel and some new tires. Yes, Suto up into 9th place, or even 8th place.
Because, of course, Videri is in the pits for Ferrari. Where does he rejoin? He's just finished his pit stop, and yep, that is a 2-stop. 28 laps of fuel in the back of Videri's wagon, so that confirms that it is a 2-stop from Ferrari, and Videri trying to make this work as he rejoins in 20th position, of course, so second to last, because, of course, Patel had to pit for a mechanical problem. So he's done a spin! Has had a spin! He's had another spin as Byrne, for the second time in this weekend. Byrne has spun off, and he's spun off at the exit of turn 2.
Are you kidding me? What the tail race he's having at the moment. That's definitely not what he's hoping for, but it was a mistake of his own.
He got a little bit too much understeer into turn 2. He caught the grass and has gone for a spin. And whoa, Sazonov, very, very lucky. He didn't get collected there by Evan Byrne. He's so lucky that his first race in the top class didn't come to an end right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look how close it was. But yeah, I think, to be honest, it's about to say that Byrne's race could be finished. Not really finished, but with no chance of achieving something here.
Indeed, I think it's really down to Rote to try and get a big result for Red Bull today in this race, but it looks like he's not going to be able to fight Carr, who so far has been dominating this race since he took the lead back from his teammate at the end of lap 1, and he's just been continuing to build the lead out in front. Meanwhile, De Rosa is under pressure from the 2-stopping Jose Federic Suto in the other Aston Martin car, the one that Yuri has spelt the first name wrong of. It's spelt with a Z, not an S. But anyway, as they came around there, Suto tried to have a go at De Rosa there, couldn't work out. But here comes Jafari Blackwood now then in the Lamborghini. He's been having a good race from 19th on the grid as he's not been able to try and take advantage of that for the time being. Wells is going to stay out for a little bit longer. He's not scheduled to pit yet. I think he'll pit in around about 3 laps time, if I'm being totally honest. So he might actually have a go at George Rote before that happens, as meanwhile Lopez is still stuck behind Michael Mocho's Lamborghini.
Yeah, it looks like the Toyota doesn't have the speed on the straight to get past the Lamborghini here. But let's look at Klaus, who's battling with Julius Anderson.
He's trying to have a go, but it looks like the straight line speed's not working out for Kloss. I wonder if he set his car up quite drag heavy down the straight for today's race, or maybe it's the fuel that's weighing him down. I'm not sure, but we now look at George Rogue, who's losing, well, as you can see, is gaining the gap to 1.7 seconds. As meanwhile, Blackwood now attacking De Rosa. Down the hill he goes. He's up into P9 ahead of Sontag, and now he looks like he's going to claim P8 from the McLaren driver. He's on the inside, and he gets the move done. Blackwood up into 8th position, as Suto is currently up in 7th place in the Aston Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Blackwood so far, it's a great first part of this race. Hopefully it stays like this. Now we look at Amaka, who's actually quite chilling at the front.
Meanwhile, Gomez looked like he had a little bit of a lock-up going up the hill there, but nothing serious. But he is losing touch to the cars in front, particularly Roman Quagg, who's not really gained as much progress like with Evan Byrne in this race. And, of course, Byrne's race now been ruined thanks to that spin that we saw a little bit earlier on as Gomez now goes around the carousel on this racetrack as he's now, I wonder if he's going to be over 5 seconds after that little mistake he made. As in the background is Andrei Sazonov. Not sure, because meanwhile, Anderson fending off and Barch's Kloss once again heading through into that right turn, but not able to make it stick. Meanwhile, the gap 1.6 seconds between Roke and Willows meanwhile, as meanwhile Kloss is again trying to attack Anderson down the pitch straight, but he's so far not had the straight line speed. Meanwhile, look at this, Perenin again struggling with his one stop. He's now going to be overtaken here by Jose Federic Suto, and Suto, who's pitting at the end of this lap, has got the move done up into P6.
Unreal scenes. If someone would have told you that Aston Martin would overtake Mercedes on track, but yeah, it happened. But yeah, of course, Suto is assisted by his 2-stop, but it's still a great effort.
He's pitting at the end of this lap, as mentioned, of course. Willows, of course, I don't think is scheduled to pit for at least another 2 laps or so. As meanwhile, Gomez again having a bit of understeer. He's been suffering from a bit of understeer. We saw on the previous lap that he was suffering from a bit of understeer going up the hill. Yeah, clearly he's struggling with that car, and he's on a 1-stop in this race. Is the Brazilian, of course, making his return to the top class this season with the returning Toyota team. As meanwhile, Kloss has still not been able to pass Anderson. Suto, of course, coming in at the end of this lap, as well as continues to try and chase down the one stopping George Rote, but of course Suto will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so I guess it will be back to reality once he makes his pit stop.
Yeah, but I don't think this race is far. This race is clearly far from over yet. There's still anything that can happen. So
One
yeah,
man who is on a... Sorry, you were saying, I thought you'd finished there.
yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, of course, one man who is on a one-stop and he's not being helped by a two-stop at the moment is Felix Sontag. He's currently fighting with Kirishima DeRosa, and it looks like, I think Anderson is also on a one-stop in this race, Williams could be looking at maybe fighting for a double points finish here today.
Yeah, I mean, Williams so far has shown some great pace over this first 13 laps. The Klaus is still not able to get past the Sweet here, but now Sontag is passing DeRosa.
Yeah, he's got the move done as Anderson still keeping Kloss back for the time being. Suto now into the pits for his first of two stops. That is a two stops. That will take him to around about, I would say, lap 30 in this Grand Prix. So quite a short stint for Suto on this occasion, it must be said. But let's see where he's going to rejoin. I'd imagine Videri is going to going past, obviously, because he was obviously further ahead than Suto at that point in time. And he already has got past. And Evan Byrne is also going to get past as well. But meanwhile, Willows is now onto the back of George Roke. And he might actually pass him before he makes his first of two stops here today.
Yeah, he could be on for overtake into turn one because the gap now to almost only 3 tenths, so it will not be here. But on the main straight, he could have good opportunity.
Yeah, indeed, and Roke already going defensive heading into Canada corner here. He's always locked up there going into the Canada corner, and Willows is now right onto the back of him as we start, and Willows could pounce on the Red Bull driver heading down the pit straight.
Yeah, that was we were talking about a couple of seconds ago, but now this could actually happen. So yeah, look at this. He's already going side by side before they cross the line. He's already through.
Willows has got the move done. I wonder if he's actually pitting at the end of this lap because he's got around about 4 laps left. And yes, he is. Willows is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, but importantly, he got the move done on Roke before his pit stop. As meanwhile, DeRosa, unseen by the cameras, re-overtook Sontag somewhere, but Sontag is now going to try and re-overtake him again down the straight.
Yep, indeed. So it shows that Williams has also some good straight line speed. And yeah, he once again overtakes Kirishima DeRosa.
But I think DeRosa might actually try and get him back down towards that left-hander there. So let's see if it works out now then, as he's now back onto the back of the Williams drivers and make their way down towards that left-hander. DeRosa now onto the inside line now then of the Williams as they go side by side, heading down towards his left-hander. Is DeRosa going to reclaim the pace? Look at the speed the BMW engine has got, and DeRosa reclaims the pace from Sontag. This is what I talked about yesterday, is that you can make a move down the pit straight, but you could easily get overtaken again going down towards that left-hander.
Yeah, that's also something that we saw in DTM over the last season in the fight between Dennis Gulf and Will Parrish for the race win. And yeah, I would say this is called a ding-dong battle. Now Lopez is still not able to pass Mocho.
Meanwhile, Willows is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, as mentioned, of course, so he'll be now coming in for his first of two stops in this race now, then, as they make their way through towards the final corner now then on the racetrack, and we'll see Willows peel to the right, which he does. So into the pits comes the McLaren driver for his first of what we think is two stops in this Grand Prix.
Yep, it now comes the pits, hitting the mark now. Yeah, let's see how many laps he will get until his next pit stop.
Yeah, he now pulls into his box then for a scheduled stop. So let's see how much fuel he takes. It's 18 laps, so yeah, quite a short stint. So it obviously will be a two-stop for Joseph Willows. Let's see where he's going to emerge then after this pit stop now. As he goes trundling down pit lane. It is quite a long pit lane here on this track as well. Quite a slow pit lane as well, it must be said. As well as, meanwhile, Lopez is under pressure. I think that's Lopez, in fact. He's under pressure from Videri. And it looks like Willows, in fact, is actually going to rejoin in front of Videri, surprisingly.
Yeah, that was a monster overcut there for McLaren and Willows. And yeah, that I think Videri also had some problems with the traffic, but yeah, Willows now ahead of Videri.
One other thing as well, Lopez has finally got past Michael Mocho unseen by the camera. So finally, Lopez has got by, and that is the reason why, because Mocho made a mistake, and in fact, it was actually because he was forced into an error there by Lopez, and at the same time at Videri as well. So really, Mocho forced into an error there going into the flat-out right-hander. In fact, he was already making the mistake as they were approaching that corner, and Lopez just said, "Thank you very much, I'll take that place," and same for Videri as well.
Yeah, but actually, he was quite like this was wild right there for Michael Mocho. He was lucky that he kept it on the track.
Yuri just pointing out there that could have been a huge crash. Meanwhile, Videri's finally got the move done on Franco Lopez, with Mocho now losing time to Lopez. But at least in Lopez's mind, he's now finally free from the Lamborghini drivers. Meanwhile, Klaas is once again attacking Anderson, as it looks like De Rosa and Sontag are still fighting it amongst themselves and have been swapping places for the last few laps.
Yeah, indeed. So, here we look once again this battle between Sontag and De Rosa.
Meanwhile, Kloss is now on the inside of Anderson, but he can't make it stick. And once again, Anderson holds on as Sontag once again tries to put pressure on De Rosa, heading down towards Canada corner now then, but he can't make it stick. De Rosa holding on to the place, same with Anderson in his fight with Bartosz Kloss just behind as well.
Yep, indeed. So they will stay put in their current positions, but that could change on the main straight.
Indeed so, as they make their way out of the final corner, is Sontag going to reclaim the place here of Kirishima De Rosa. He's trying to get in the slipstream. In fact, I think he might actually be a little bit too far back to challenge the McLaren on this occasion. So I think De Rosa will do enough the same front. Meanwhile, Kloss, once again, struggling with straight line speed to pass Anderson, and Anderson will just do enough to stay in front once again of the Haas driver. Kloss getting frustrated, seeing the rear end of the Williams at the moment.
Yep, indeed. So I think he could actually study that rear of the car at the moment, but it's definitely not ideal. If we now look at Amakar, who now has an 8.2 second gap over George Roque.
He's been absolutely flying in this race so far. Sontag is now up into 7th place, and he got him down the hill at turn 3, where you should really make the overtake. And Sontag, I think this time, has pulled the move up. I think he was about to lock up going into that left-hander there. But either way, meanwhile, Willows, who's on the 2-stop, is down the inside of Andrei Sadanov, and he gets the move done on the rookie into P13.
Yep, so that's an easy move, to be honest, with, of course, the much fresher tires. But yeah, Willows now on the fight back up to regain some time after with that 2-stop strategy.
I think Sontag did make that lock up the hill, as we mentioned, because De Rosa is still right up the back of him as they make their way towards Canada corner. But Sontag staying firm and holding on to the place for the time being, as Kloss is still not able to find a way through on Sontag's teammate, Julius Anderson, at this stage. And it's already bringing along Roman Quarg into this fight as well. So Quarg's starting to gain onto this fight pretty soon. But it looks like De Rosa could be ready to pounce on Sontag once again.
Yeah, as said before, this is really much a ding-dong battle with it going back and forth, with them passing each other almost 2 times every lap. So now De Rosa will make the move relatively easy here.
He's down the inside, and De Rosa reclaims the place and he's up into P7. But I wonder if Sontag will attack him back down towards turn 3 on the racetrack. They've also, if they're not careful, could bring along Anderson and Kloss into that fight very, very soon now. Then as the autocam rudely gets away from that battle, as Blackwood will be pitting at the end of this lap. Unseen by the cameras, in fact, he's actually overtaken Perinen somewhere on the track. So he's up into P5. As meanwhile, Sontag again down the inside of De Rosa, and he reclaims 7th with ease. Now, can he this time keep the move stick and not lock up? I think this time he should be able to get it tidily through into that left-hander, because I think that was the reason why De Rosa was able to keep up with him previously, and now De Rosa may have Sontag's teammate Julius Anderson to deal with.
Yeah, so he got passed by another one Williams, but of course he has another Williams right behind him. So that's a bit of a déjà vu there for De Rosa.
Yep, and both Sontag and Anderson are on the same strategy, so both of them clearly looking to try and get double points in this first race of the season, which would definitely be a lot better and would already surpass the amount of points they had last season. As Anderson tried to brave it through that flat-out right-hander, but it could now bring Kloss into play in the Haas now then, who's obviously fell backwards since the start of the race, clearly struggling with that one stop, but not able to take full advantage. But now I think Anderson will start to gain onto De Rosa.
Yep. Indeed, so we could now see almost a three-way fight moment here to the main straight, but yeah, Sontag is now clear.
Meanwhile, Jafari Blackwood is now into the pits for Lamborghini. He pits from 5th place as Anderson now on the inside of De Rosa, and he gets the move done. He's up into P7 unless De Rosa could try and get it back into the first corner. He thought about it but can't make the move stick, and now Kloss is now all over the back here of Kirishima De Rosa as they make their way towards the second corner. But Anderson already going defensive through into turn 2 there, so I think De Rosa could line up for a pass as Quarg is now right in this fight himself.
Yeah, Quark is in that fight as well, but now De Rosa will retake that place. But also Kloss is side by side, so that could hamper De Rosa's effort a bit, and yes, it does, so Anderson stays ahead.
So the Williamses are now clear of the McLaren driver, as meanwhile we're looking at Laura Chung, who's currently doing well in 3rd place, as now De Rosa is going to come under pressure from both Bartosz Kloss and Roman Quarg here, who might actually start to, their strategy may start to come into effect now, as they'll now try and put pressure on the McLaren driver.
Yep, absolutely. So now it's finally another way that Kloss can look at when he is not able to pass, but he should be able to pass at McLaren quite soon, I guess. We have to wait and see.
Indeed, as now we ride on board with Bartsch Kloss out, and he's trying to find a way for it. He's going to dive it down the inside into the Canada corner, and what a move that is from Bartsch Kloss. He's up into P8, and Quark also follows him through. So Kloss, brilliant move from the Polish driver. He's up into 8th. I think Dennis might have just disappeared there whilst all that had happened, and Kloss.
Yeah, apologies for my connection.
But that was a brilliant move there from Bartsch Kloss, and also allowing Quark to go through at the same time. Looked like De Rosa got a little bit scared there of the Haas driver going into Canada corner.
Yeah, indeed, but this was an absolutely amazing dive bomb there from Bartsch Kloss, and he made it without any contact, so well done.
Now he's under pressure here from Roman Quark, so Quark can now have a go here at Bartsch Kloss going up the hill. Let's see the straight line speed of the Renault going down this straight now. Then as they go side by side, heading towards the first corner, and it looks like Quark is going to get the move done in towards the first corner now. Then side by side goes the Renault and the Haas in towards the first corner, and Quark gets the move done. Up into 8th place goes Roman Quark, as now look who's right behind. That's Joseph Willows. No, that isn't. It's Kirishima De Rosa. I apologise. I know that Willows is not too far away from that group, but De Rosa now trying to get back at Kloss if he can, as Quark is now up into 8th position, unless Kloss can get him back down the hill here.
Yeah, but I don't think we will see an attack from De Rosa, but we will see one from Kloss against Quark, and he retakes the place.
As now De Rosa tries to get the place off of Quark up through that part, but can't make it stick. As meanwhile, Blackwood, unseen by the cameras, has overtaken Lopez somewhere on the racetrack. Of course, he's already made his pit stop in this Grand Prix, and we think he's on a 2-stop as well, like what we saw from Willows for Dairy and so on. So, yeah, that's that really. As meanwhile, the 1-stoppers are not scheduled to pit yet until around about either just before lap 30 or just after lap 30 in this Grand Prix. So we'll have to wait and see. As Kloss is now in 8th position, of course, because he obviously re-overtook Quark on the racetrack, but now Quark has got De Rosa all over the back of him again.
Yep, so now this battle will be another one for De Rosa, but I think if he doesn't make a mistake, which he is a little bit making, yes, I don't think De Rosa will have a chance to make a move into turn 1.
Yep, indeed, as we now look at Laura Chung now, then is 3.5 seconds behind George Roche. He's got a 2.6 second gap to Joantis Martins, who's currently running well in 4th after his issues yesterday. As meanwhile, De Rosa, you say that, Dennis, but he's actually now coming back at Quark, and the BMW Power is going to get himself back up into 9th position, unless Quark can hang it around the outside, which he can't. So De Rosa up into 9th place, but Quark finds himself in a McLaren sandwich, and in fact, Quark could actually try and overtake De Rosa in towards turn number 3, as meanwhile, Gomez is now trying to attack. I think that's Andre Sazonov in front. Willows is now part of this battle, as Quark has got a McLaren in front and a McLaren behind him, as Willows may actually try and help his teammate try and stay in front of Quark as they make their way down towards the left-hander, but it's not going to work out, and Quark retakes 9th from De Rosa, and Willows will want to try and get past his teammate as quick as possible.
Yeah, indeed, because they're in different strategies. It's clear to see that Joseph Willows is the faster car, so if McLaren is smart enough, they should let Willows make the move.
Yeah, indeed, as now they come towards the carousel now, then De Rosa now losing touching distance now to Roman Quark, and it looks like Willows is now going to try and attack his teammate towards the flat-out right-hander, as now Willows tries to have a go at De Rosa into that right-hander, can't make it stick. Can he possibly try into Canada corner to try and make that move work out, as now here comes the 2-stopping Willows, trying to look to the inside of De Rosa, but he's going to try and think about it, but not quite close enough, but I think Willows should be able to try and get the move done down towards the first corner.
Yeah, but of course, De Rosa will at the same time have the chance to yellow flag. Macho crashed.
That's a big crash, and there's tyres on the racetrack as well. As who's that? That's Patel. He's got debris. But Patel has caught the debris, and he's got damage. As a result, car is not too far away from the scene either. So hopefully, for his sake, that can get cleared. But it looks like it is a mistake from Macho going around the carousel. And we talked about it yesterday. If you go off there, there's a high chance you're going to crash. And well, Macho has proved that here today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's of course reminiscent that what we saw on DTM with Mio and FG crashing at that place. Yeah, got right there in the middle of the corner, and yeah, once he got on the gravel, you have no chance of avoiding contact and collision.
Becomes the second retirement of the day, and Patel is going to have to pit for a new front wing as a result because he caught the debris that was on the racing line there. And, well, a disaster for Rahul Patel. But I hope that bit of debris there for his front wing gets cleared before Amar Kar gets to the scene of the accident. The yellows have been cleared, but we'll wait and see if that debris has already been cleared by the time he gets there. It should be, as we ride on board with Amar Kar as he now comes around the carousel now then on the racetrack now then. And I think the debris has been cleared, has it? No, it has not. And he does something in the process, and Kar has got to pit for a new front wing. What about George Roke in all of this? Whereabouts has that debris gone to on that racetrack? I think it has been cleared, so Roke may actually take the lead of the Grand Prix, but Kar has lost his front wing in all this. But will he? It depends actually, in fact, if he's still in the race or not, because we need to wait and see, of course, how much fuel he takes.
Yeah, that will be now the moment this could change the complexion of this race. If he gets enough fuel to get to the end, it won't be that much of an issue. If he has to pit twice, his chances for the win are done.
Let's have a look and see. He's into the pit, so Roke will take the lead of the Grand Prix. But let's see how much fuel Kar puts into the tank as a result of that, as he'll have to pit for a new front wing. Keep an eye on the top, 28 laps of fuel. And, yeah, that is a one stop. So Mercedes, I think, smartly going to put him on the one stop straight away. So he will be going to the end of the race. So I wouldn't say it's over yet for Amar Kar.
No, definitely not. That was the thing Kar was definitely hoping, and yes, wishes came true.
Yeah, indeed, but let's see where Kar does rejoin then after this impromptu pit stop. He wasn't scheduled to pit for at least another 7 laps or so, and he comes out in, I think, 7th place. He comes out just in front of Bartjes Kloss, but I bet Kloss might actually have a run on Kar going down towards turn 3.
Yeah, of course, with Kar's already going very defensive there, so Kloss could have an opportunity to get the move. He's coming in the slipstream, he's getting closer, and yeah, he will make the move quite easily here.
On the inside goes Bartjes Kloss, and he takes P7 with ease, but I think as soon as Kar gets those tyres up to temperature, he should be able to attack the Haas driver back, and then maybe try and make his way up through the field to see if he could try and save his race, and maybe still have a chance of winning this Grand Prix. It's not over yet for Amar Kar, as he has opted to go on the one stop, but for the meantime, it is George Roke that leads the race from Lower Chung in second, and Johannes Martins currently in 3rd place in his first race for Renault.
Yep, absolutely. The one thing that Rogue has to hope for is that Kar has to spend as much time in traffic as he needs to get the gap back, but of course we know that Kar has very quick car. Let's see what happens to Julius Anderson.
He had a little bit of understeer, in fact, going through that fast right-hander, and he went off the track, and he is very lucky himself that he didn't go into the barriers, but all that has done has allowed Kloss and Kar to close in on him.
Yeah, that was, like with Michael Mocho, absolutely sketchy. He was lucky that he kept that one out of the barrier.
Yeah, as meanwhile, Kar's going to go around the outside of Kloss here if he can, thanks to that whole ideal, and Kar says thank you very much and takes P7 from the Haas drivers. Now he'll try and attack Anderson going up towards turn 1.
Yep, so Kar definitely made the opportunity that was given by him with Kloss getting shoved into the inside line, and yeah, that's the place I think easier being retaken than someone was hoping for.
Now he's already on the back of Julius Anderson here, going up through the hill. As meanwhile, because of that mistake, because of Kloss being mugged there, he's now got one of the McLarens right up the back of him. I think that might be Joseph Willows that's on the back of him now. Then his car goes onto the inside of Anderson, but he can't make the move stick as Willows gets up into P8. Meanwhile, in the McLaren, and the two-stopping McLaren is now, it looks like Anderson is not letting Car go, so Car cannot waste too much time behind the Williams. I think, did that say a pit stop call there for Anderson, or if I seeing things? Yes. No, I wasn't seeing things. Anderson is pitting at the end of that, but I bet Car will want to clear him as quick as possible before he makes that pit stop. He's now on the inside of him, heading down towards turn 3 now, and on the inside, and he gets the move done. Car up into 6th position.
Yep, and now with as this was making the move, already pulling away a lot within 2 corners, so yeah, that shows how much quicker he is with that fresh tires.
Now Willows is now on the back of Julius Anderson, of course. Willows has got fresher tyres, but of course Anderson will be pitting at the end of the start, so I'm not sure if Willows will overtake Anderson before Anderson comes into the pits for his scheduled stop, but we'll have to wait and see on that as they make their way through the carousel now then on the racetrack. Willows now looking to the inside line of Julius Anderson, but he can't make it stick. Anderson holding on to the place for the time being. Willows now into the slipstream of the Williams drive, going to try and look to the inside line if he can, but he can't make it stick, and Anderson holds on to the place for the time being as we now look at Johannes Martins, who's currently running well in third position at this stage of the race.
Yeah, for him it was on one side a great first half of the race, but on the other side also a very clean one. He wasn't involved in almost anything, and he just got there to do his laps.
Yeah, indeed, as Anderson now comes into the pits for Williams now then. So Willows moves up to 7th, close up to 8th. Meanwhile, Blackwood, who's now on the back of Videri. So Videri, who actually had a great first stint, is now actually struggling compared to the other two stoppers, because now Blackwood is on the inside of the Ferrari driver, and maybe this is a return to reality for the alien Ferrari as Blackwood gets up into P11.
Yep, that is definitely a step back to reality for Ferrari and for Videri, but he may have the chance to regain this place, but let's see.
He's going to look to the inside line if he can. Blackwood already going defensive, so Blackwood not letting the Ferrari driver go, and Blackwood holds on to P11 as they make their way through that left-hander. So, yeah, Videri now down to 12th, and Blackwood still making progress with the two-stop strategy that he is on.
Yep, that was a great defense there from Blackwood indeed. So, yeah, will definitely now pull away with any big effort, actually.
Yeah, indeed, as that's Patel that's behind Martins in the meanwhile. Patel a lap down from the rest of the field after what has been a disastrous race for him today. He's actually 2.5 seconds behind Chung and Martins. Both of them have been keeping the same sort of pace with each other. That gap has kind of stabilised over the last few laps. So both Chung and Martins currently lapping the same sort of pace in each other at this Grand Prix.
Yep, absolutely. For both these guys is currently level pegging, to be honest, but already the gap isn't that big, so Chung makes tiny mistakes and Martins will be there.
Yeah, indeed, as they make their way up the hill now, then through into this left-hander we go, as Chung doing a good job in the Haas, and so is Martins in the Renault so far in this Grand Prix, as he's looking to try and get his first ever podium in the top classes. Meanwhile, Valdinger on the inside now, then of Gabriel Gomez, and he gets the move done into P14, and once again, the Toyota's just seemingly struggling with race pace today. Meanwhile, Carr is on the back of Felix Sontag here.
Yep, indeed. So now Carr also did say the personal best in the first sector, so he should be actually not spending that much time by the Williams, who actually locks up. But yeah, Carr will be faster through if then you can look.
Yeah, let's have a look if Carr can try and go for a brave move into this flat-out right-hander. He's trying to have a go, but Sontag covers the move off now. Then there's now Carr will try and get the move done down to Canada corner. Just behind is Joseph Willows in the McLaren, meanwhile, who's trying to follow Carr. As best oh, contact with me! And Carr has gone for a spin! Carr has gone for a spin! Sontag is out of the Grand Prix! Sontag out of the Grand Prix, and another front wing change for Carr, and any chance of Carr trying to get back as Clark's made a mistake into that right-hander as well, and Freak and 2 Carr are out down at Canada corner. I think Carr may be able to keep going, but he's going to need to be in front wing, and any chance he had of possibly recovering has gone down the drain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was what the hell was Carr thinking there, to be honest. But yeah, on one side that, but on the other side, there was maybe a bit of aggressive defense there from Felix Sontag, but let's see the replay.
Let's have a look at it from Armar Carr now then as they make their way down towards the Canada corner. So you could see, going into Canada corner now then, as you can see, Sontag already going defensive at that part of the track. He breaks that a little bit later, but Sontag was still moving at that point in time. And, well, I don't know how you'd see that one. Maybe you could say that Carr was too ambitious and maybe saw red in his eyes from what happened earlier on. But either way, it has taken Sontag out of the Grand Prix, and any chance Williams had of potentially having a double points finish today has gone down the drain.
Yeah, that's such a shame for Felix Sontag. Did such a great race, but then with this, it is completely ruined, unfortunately.
Indeed, and well, I wonder if there'll be any penalties here for Armar Carr. Let's look at it from Joseph Willows' point of view, as you can see, because he got a good view of this, as you can see, just in front, and I think it's at that point there you go, that's where the contact happened at that point in time, and well, Joseph Willows just like, well, thank you very much, chaps, I'll go up into P5 there, if you don't mind. But what on earth happened to Roman Quarg, I wonder, because he went off the track at that point as well. Did he get tapped around, or did he... Racing incident been declared by Yuri Mata there between Carr and Sontag. So a racing incident, and I think it was a mistake from Quarg here.
Oh, that's a silly mistake there from Roman Quarg. Already the yellow flag was there. And yeah, how can you make such a mistake with the yellow flags already?
Yeah, indeed, and well, that's pretty much that, really. And Quarg, for the second day in a row, has made a very clumsy error, and well, that's race over for him. As Carr is going to keep going, but he's going to have to change his front wing once again in this race. So, a racing incident for Carr and Sontag as a result. So, no penalty for either side on that one. Clearly, Yuri feeling that both sides were equally to blame for that accident. But either way, any chance that Carr had of winning this Grand Prix is now down the drain, and he might even be a lap down because Roke's not too far away from the pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as great as it looked in the first stint from our car, then the first debut from Mojo or Botel, and now this. Yeah, but to be honest,
Indeed, as now they make their way through into the left-hander now. Then his car comes into the pits, and I think he is now a lap down. Looking at the mini-mapper wall here, I think Roke is actually coming onto the pit straight, but I think he is now going to be a lap down from the leader, and yes, he is. So Roke has put a lap, and in fact, Roke is actually pitting at the end of this lap for his one and only pit stop. So Carr is now a lap down, but he will get that lap back when Roke comes into the pits. Martins is also coming into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yep, indeed. So now the pits of phase for the guys on the one stop without any issues is beginning. So we look at Evan Byrne, who's currently actually Toyota sandwich.
Yeah, he's got Lopez behind and Gomez in front, and Byrne still trying to find a way through on Gomez as best as possible, but can't make the move stick at the moment. But as mentioned, Roke, the race leader, is now coming into the pit at the end of this lap, and as will Joantis Martins, who is actually himself trying to lap Carr. But of course, as mentioned, Carr will get his lap back once Roke comes into the pits. Well, I say that, Chung will be pitting soon, so once Chung comes in, that will be when he'll get his lap back. As meanwhile, Byrne now on the inside of Gomez, just as Lopez comes into the pits for Toyota now. Then as Byrne is on the inside line of Gomez into the first corner, and he gets the move stick. Byrne up into 12th position, and his next target is Bensfeld Dinger. Meanwhile, Blackwood now on the inside of De Rosas to make their way down towards the left-hander, and Blackwood gets the move done. He's up into P7. What a recovery the Jamaican driver has had from P19 on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely amazing race so far for Blackwood. Even with the two-stop strategy, he's showing some incredible pace in the course of this race. There's no Lopez exits the pit lane.
Indeed, as now they make their way through into that left-hander now. Then as meanwhile, Roke is now into the pit for Red Bull, as is Joantis Martin. So George Roke, the race leader, is now into the pit for Red Bull now. Then as he's now coming to the pit lane. I don't know why we're not viewing him, because for some reason we're viewing Laura Chung and all this. But here we go, George Roke into the pit. Joantis Martins also into the pits for Renault now. Then as they make the one and only pit stop in this Grand Prix. Roke gets released from his garage now. Then as will Joantis Martins, and there we go. Then to both of them as expected on the one stop, as meanwhile we're riding on board with Joseph Willis, is now gaining onto the back of Jesus Perinin now then, who's also on the one stop. They both go through on both Roke and Martins. Meanwhile, Roke rejoins in 4th position. Martins, is he going to rejoin in 5th, or is somebody else going to pass him? No, Kloss is going to get by, but Kloss is coming into the pits in this lap as Martins comes out just in front of Blackwood, but I think Blackwood might actually pass him before he makes his second pit stop in this race. Now Willow's on the inside of Jesus Perinin to go down the hill towards the left-hander. It is 4th position, of course, because they are in sync with each other for 4th position here, as Willow's still not able to get the move done. Looks like Hazers has got a bit more straight line speed than what Willow's has at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. So Perinin stayed ahead of Willows for the time being, but I'm not sure if Perinin will hold this position for a lot longer.
Yep, as Martins did get overtaken by Blackwood, but I'd imagine with the fresher tyres, he might be able to re-overtake the Lamborghini driver pretty soon in this Grand Prix now then. As meanwhile, Byrne is currently in P11. He's now just one place away from the points now, is the Irishman. His next target will be Andre Verderi in the Ferrari now. Then as Martins tries to have a go at Blackwood in towards the flat right-hander. Carr sets the fastest lap meanwhile, so at the moment as it stands, no one will be getting the bonus point, which I do think, if I'm not mistaken, last season, if my memory serves me correct, everyone got a bonus point last season with the fastest lap, so it might be the first time since 2021 that we don't get a bonus point awarded in this race. But meanwhile, Willows is now on the inside of Jesus Perrin, and as they come down the pit straight now, then heading towards the first corner, Willows is pitting at the end of this lap for McLaren, but he's on the inside of Perrin into the first corner, and he gets the move done. Willows temporarily up into second place, but as mentioned, it will be a legitimate between Perrin, just not for second place, of course, but he will be pitting at the end of this lap as Perrin has now lost another place, this time to the McLaren driver.
Yeah, absolutely. For Perrin, it's really not a good race. Yeah, he's struggling for the whole race, to be honest, but yes, now close to the pits. And yeah, we'll see now Martins. Maybe
Gonna
we
try.
take the place, but Blackwood has good amount of speed.
It does appear like the Lamborghini engine has got quite a lot of straight line speed. We saw it with the Williamses a bit earlier on, and it seems to be paying off well for Lamborghini as well. But yeah, that's that really. Where on earth is Anderson in this race? I'm just wondering, because of course he's now the only Williams in this race and the only one that can score points. He's currently 13th at the moment as Kloss rejoins behind him again on the racetrack. So Anderson able to stay in front of Kloss after the pit stop there. So that's that for them really as they make their way through the long swooping right-hander. We go on this racetrack. Martins again trying to have a go at Blackwood into the flat out right hander, not going to work out there, but can the Brazilian maybe try and make a move into the Canada corner now then? We go on this racetrack now then, and Blackwood looks like he's going to stay in front for the time being, but Martins will try again on the pit straight. Meanwhile, Willows is now into the pits for McLaren now then, so Joseph Willows is now into the pits, and meanwhile Roque is now on the back of Jesus Perrin heading down that pit straight as Willows now comes in for McLaren.
Yep, Willows now coming in. He will be expected to, once Perrin in the pits, to be ahead of him still. But yeah, speaking of staying ahead, Rogue isn't getting that past that easy, but he will make the move back straight.
Yep, as now Joseph Willows finishes off his second pit stop. Joseph Frederick Suto also comes into the pits for his second and final stop of the race now. Then De Rosa's coming into the pits at the end of this lap for McLaren. As meanwhile, Roque has still not been able to find a way through on Perrin, as his teammate Evan Byrne will be pitting at the end of this lap. But Perrin, who's still not scheduled to pit for at least another few laps, he's not letting Roque go in this race. And well, given that the gap between Chung and Roque was roughly about 4 seconds before the pit stop, I wonder if Chung could possibly take full advantage of this.
Yeah, maybe she could. So, of course, now it's for Chung to get the fastest laps of her race. Basically done as Evan Byrne, by the way, will pit at the end of this lap. But yeah, for Chung, it's now time to put the hammer down.
Martins is now overtaken Blackwood, so Martins now up into 4th position. Roque still getting held up by Jesus Perrin at this stage, and this is not helping the Red Bull driver at all if he wants to take the first victory of the 2023 season. As meanwhile, Loa Chung is coming into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yep, absolutely. So now the moment we have been waiting for is coming, maybe. It's now Rogue. I don't think Rogue has the speed to get past Perrin that easy.
No, we saw this earlier on, of course, when they were battling for second place. It seemed that the Red Bull just didn't have the straight line speed compared to the Mercedes of Perrin down the straight. I think it was mainly because Roque had to go later on the brakes going down into turn 3 to get the move done. But can he do so this time by? I don't think Chung will jump Roque straight away, but I think she might be closer to Roque once she's finished a pit stop. And then, because she'll be on fresher tyres, it'll be a question to see if she can catch up to the Red Bull driver knock. And Roque is still stuck behind Perrin at this stage of the race. And meanwhile, I want to point out as well, Martins, who obviously pitted at the same time as Roque, is only 3.4 seconds behind the Red Bull driver. Perrin holding up Roque is also helping Martins catch up.
Yeah, that will be very interesting now, because the gap, I think, between Rogue and Martins before the stops was 7 seconds. Something about that. Now the gap come down by the half.
Yeah, indeed, as Chung is now into the pits for Haas. Roque has still not been able to find a way through on Jesus Perrin, who's not pitting just yet in the Mercedes, as Roque will try into Canada corner to try and get the move done. He's on the inside of the Mercedes driver, but he hasn't got the speed again to get the Mercedes driver. Where is Laura Chung on the racetrack? She's now making a pit stop. I don't expect her to jump Roque, but maybe Martins could actually jump Chung here. That's what I want to know as well, because Chung obviously pit at the same time. Perrin is actually pitting this lap. I do apologise. Perrin is actually pitting, so Roque is now released from the Mercedes driver. How close is Chung to Roque after this pit stop? He has a long pit lane, let's not forget. I do think Roque is going to stay in front of Chung, but whereabouts is Martins on this? Roque retakes the lead. Is Martins going to jump Chung? He does. He does, and Blackwood is coming into the pits in this lap, but Martins has jumped Chung and will be up into second place.
What a stint there from Jonatas Martins. I didn't think everyone had him on the cars, but absolutely amazing undercut from him.
Yeah, indeed. Perinen finishes off his pit stop so he can finally get rid of those old tyres. I wonder if he can now maybe start to unleash some pace now on that on the fresher tyres, and that's that for him really. But Roke now retakes the lead, but the gap is 1.7 seconds between Martins and Roke. Is Martins legitimately gaining on Roke, or is Roke now starting to pull away now that he's free of Perinen? I wonder. We'll have to have a look at what the gaps are like when we come out of Sector 2, of course. Blackwood, meanwhile, is still with Martins. Meanwhile, Martins hasn't really shook him off ever since he overtook him earlier on. So anyway, Blackwood is pitting at the end of this lap, so Martins shouldn't worry too much about the Lamborghini driver. Let's see the gap this time by coming out of Sector 2 now. Then 1.7 last time by, still 1.7. In fact, Roke only gaining a little bit onto Martins that time by, so the gap has sort of stabilised as they go into Sector 2. But I wonder what Chung is doing now that she's on fresher, harder tyres.
Yeah, of course, Chung has the freshest tires out of all these people. So, of course, Blackwood will come in. So, yeah, look, she is already. She actually lost quite a bit of time.
Yeah, and Yuri pointing out that Roke and Martins are lapping about 500ths of each other each time, really. So that's how close their lap times are at the moment. Blackwood comes in for his second stop. Chung now back up into third position as the gap between herself and Martins is 2.6 seconds at this stage. So we'll see if she's gaining onto Martins as we get towards the end of the first sector. And Yuri actually pointing out before we even done that Chung is way faster than the top two. So Chung is flying at the moment on her tyres. Could she maybe get her first victory since the 2021 Austrian Grand Prix and Haas's second ever victory in the top class?
Yeah, that will be the absolute story if Haas manages to win their home race. That would be something.
While Blackwood rejoins in 7th place after his pit stop, so he's looking good for some points here today. Meanwhile, unseen by the cameras, Kloss actually overtook Anderson somewhere, so he's finally broke free from the winning driver. Suto currently running legitimately in the points, so could Aston Martin actually get points in the first race of the season? That would be something, given that a lot of people predicted they are actually the slowest team going into this.
Yeah, maybe they could have the slowest car, but they could have a great team, of course, with the new drivers.
Meanwhile, sorry to break you off there, Dennis, but Chung has actually set a purple middle sector, so she could be looking at a fastest lap attempt here in the Haas, and she is gaining onto Martin. The gap now down to 2 seconds between the pair of them now, then, as we've got, when the Roke crosses the line, we'll have, including the lap that he's about to start, 13 laps to go in this Grand Prix, so 13 laps for Chung to get a hold of the top two of Roke and Martin. So the gap is 1.8, and she does set the fastest lap, a 1 minute 28.083, so Chung is currently flying at the moment in the Haas.
Yeah, she's absolutely flying at the moment, faster. I don't know how much faster she is in comparison to the two guys in front of her, but she is having the best pace at the moment.
And Yuri answering that question for you, Dennis. Currently, Chung is 6 tenths faster than Roke and 8 tenths faster than Martins at the moment, as Martins is now starting to lose time to Roke. Roke has got the gap up to 2 seconds between himself and Joantis Martins, but still, Chung is right there. The top three are not far away from each other. Meanwhile, Andre Vaderi, who has not been able to replicate what he did in the first stint, will be coming into the pit at the end of this lap for his second and final stop. Meanwhile, Byrne is stuck behind Andrei Sazonov in the Aston Martin. He's trying to find a way through, and so is Carr, who's trying to catch up to these guys, of course, after he losing his front wing, and he's now with Byrne once again at this point in time. It's not really the position they were hoping they were fighting for at the start of the season, but here we are, of course, as Byrne is still not able to find a way through on Sazonov at this stage. He was stuck behind the Aston Martin early on in the race, and it's once again come back to bite him.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really the bad luck indeed, as now Byrne makes the move on Sazonov for P12.
Finally got it done, so he's now up into 12th place, puts a car between himself and Amar Khan. Just behind Carr is his former teammate Franco Lopez, of course. Hopefully, now that they're down the field, hopefully they don't make contact with each other down the midfield, because that would be something if that were to happen. Meanwhile, Chung is now under a second now behind Joantis Martin. The gap, 0.9 seconds. Andre Vaderi, meanwhile, comes into the pit for Ferrari for his second and final stop, but Chung is now definitely gaining onto the Renault driver in front. But will she have the straight line speed to get past the Renault driver, I wonder, as Vaderi now comes in for his second and final stop. Where is he going to emerge after this pit stop, I wonder?
Okay, no pressure.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see, but also will be crucial to see how much time it takes for Chung to pass Martins. Actually, that will be the deciding factor of this race.
Yep, indeed, as Videri now comes trundling down pit lane. De Rosa goes up to 10th, so far both McLarens are into the points, which is a great contrast to what they had last season, as Videri rejoins in P11, just one place away from the points at the moment. As meanwhile, 0.7 now is the gap between Martins and Chung now then, as they make their way through the flat-out right-hander. Chung could actually have an attempt at Martins down the pit straight on the next lap here.
Yeah, the pace she's having is absolutely incredible at the moment. I mean, on the other side, George Rowe is pulling away a bit from Martins. He gained 7/10 over the last time we checked. But Zhang is driving out of this world at the moment.
She had the straight line speed to get Martins though. Let's see, we've seen how powerful the Renault is down the straight as Chung is now side by side with Martins down the pit straight, but she has got the straight line speed. Look, she's already got a nose in front of the Renault, and Chung is up into second place, but will Martins try and attack back heading down towards turn 3, or will Chung get enough of a gap to stay in front of the Renault driver? Let's see, but Chung is up into second, but can Martins get her back into turn 3?
Yep, that will be interesting to see if Martins will have the speed to make both feet going. But he's on the inside. There's the yellow flag in the carousel.
We do is for the Valdinger has now made a mistake into the carousel as Martins has retaken second from Chung there, but luckily none of the debris has got onto the track, but Valdinger is out of the race and he's the second driver to crash out at the carousel alongside Michael Mocho, and I think it might be another driver error here.
Yeah, let's see. I think it's actually the same what happened to Michael Mocho, maybe a bit earlier, but yeah, actually it was the same. Not as hard as Mocho, but yeah, also big crash as well.
But luckily for the leaders, the debris is not onto the racetrack, so it shouldn't affect the top 3 as a result. But Martins did re-overtake Chung, and that's not Chung wants. If she wants to win this Grand Prix, she can't be wasting too much time. Well, Juantas Martins' Renault. The yellow flags have now been lifted at the carousel.
Yep, so now they can already race full speed again through here. Oh, that was very close. I almost thought that Chung would make the move actually there into the kink. But Martins is defending.
Going through Canada corner, Martin still keeping the place, and Chung will try and re-overtake the Brazilian as best as possible, but as mentioned, she can't be wasting too much time with the Renault if she wants to win this Grand Prix, as Martins defends the inside going into the final corner. Roke is just going up the hill to start lap 38, so we'll have 10 laps to go when he crosses the line. Chung once again on the inside of Juantas Martins' Renault as they go side by side, heading down the pit straight. 2.7 seconds is the gap between Chung and Roke, as meanwhile Chung does take second place again, but is Martins going to attack back into turn 3 again, I wonder?
Yeah, that will be interesting to see. I think Chung will have a hard time with Martins here because he's too close to not have the opportunity here. He will already go out of slipstream alongside the Haas, and let's see if he has baby on the brakes. And yes, he does. Martins back up into second place.
This is not what Chung wants indeed. If she wants to win this Grand Prix, Martins is preventing her from getting towards George Roke in this Grand Prix. I bet George Roke is thanking Juantas at the moment for battling with her at the moment. Meanwhile, there's a three-way scrap here between Julius Anderson, Joseph Frederick Suto and Kirishima De Rosa. Suto trying to have a go at Anderson but can't make the move stick as De Rosa tries to get the pair of them. Brings it into Videri has got a problem, and Videri has a problem, and it's an engine fault. A water leak has blown out the back of the Ferrari, and unfortunately it's going to be a double retirement for Ferrari in this Grand Prix, and after an encouraging first stint for the Italian, he's going to be out of the Grand Prix. Suto now goes on the inside of Anderson, and he takes P8 from the Williams driver. Suto is flying in his rookie race, but meanwhile Anderson now having to come under pressure for De Rosa as Videri is going to be out of the Grand Prix. What a shame for him, as Chung is now going to try and have a go at Martins again, but it looks like Martins might actually have a bit of a gap here on Chung.
Yeah, that actually everything that George Roke needs at the moment. But yeah, for Videri, it's one word: Ferrari.
Indeed, and he pulls off at turn number 4 there, so he's actually pulled off just up the hill there, but it looks like Chung is now actually going to have a go into turn 3. That may be the corner where she might actually pull the move off here on Juantas Martins. Luckily for her, but she needs to be quick because there is a tight yellow flag zone at that point, so she needs to get the move done before she gets to that yellow flag zone, or if the marshals can quickly get that yellow flag removed before she tries to go for a move, it's going to be very tight, but I think she's pulled it off just in time. She has done it, and luckily it will not be a penalty for Chung. It's a legit move, and Chung is finally up into second place.
Yeah, and also what was very lucky for her that the yellow flag just went at the moment as they were approaching the yellow flag zone.
Indeed, and well, Chung very lucky there that she got the move done before she even got to the yellow flag zone, and as well that the yellow flags got lifted there. Meanwhile, this is Perinin, who's in 5th position at the moment. He rejoined in 5th after the pit stop. I wonder if he's getting on to Joseph Willows, I wonder. That's what I'm wondering. The gap is 2.6 seconds between the pair, so Perinin may try and get 4th place by the end of the race. We shall wait and see on that, as Chung is now starting to get away from Joantis Martins, and yeah, as Yuri pointed out as well, there's been some amazing rookie performances today in this Grand Prix. It's De Rosa on the inside of Anderson, and he takes P9 from the Williams driver. So De Rosa up into P9, and Byrne is going to be the next that Anderson may need to worry about. So Byrne could actually maybe get some points, maybe even Carr as well, who's actually close to the back of Byrne as well in this Grand Prix. As the gap, I couldn't quite see the gap there between Perrin and then Willows, because it was 2.6 seconds earlier on. But the gap between Roke and Chung, meanwhile, is 2.9 seconds. So we'll keep an eye on that gap as the lap progresses. Meanwhile, because we haven't really been able to get a clear picture since Martins and Chung were busy scrapping with each other.
Yeah, that definitely could have been the moment for George Rogue that could have decided this race. But of course, let's look at Chung's first sector. Maybe reflection gain. She gained 2/10.
She actually set a purple first sector there, I think. The gap is 2.7 seconds between Roke and Chung, and Yuri's predicting that the battle between Chung and Roke is expected to culminate at around about lap 43. So in 3 laps' time, it should be a close fight between Roke and Chung, should anything not happen between the pair of them.
Yeah, that will be a hell of a fight for the race win here between George Roke and Laura Chung. Because I think at the moment, Chung definitely has the tire advantage, but yes, she gained another 3/10 in the middle sector here.
2.4 seconds now is the gap between Roke and Chung, so Roke has got to do some extreme defending here if he wants to take the first victory of 2023, but Chung really wants to try and get her first victory since 2021 and ensure that she actually takes the early lead in the championship. It'd actually be the first time in her career that she would actually lead the championship if it was to stay like this. I don't think she ever led the championship in 2019 when she was driving for Ferrari, so it would be the first time ever that she would lead the championship. It'd be the first time that a female driver would actually lead the championship in the top class. That would be history in the making if she could pull that off, but she's got to really gain onto Rogue if she wants to do that. The gap now 2.2 seconds with the pair, so she's taken another 2 attempts out of new fastest lap for Chung there whilst all that was going on, so she's still gaining. She gained another 2 attempts on Rogue in sector 3 there.
Yeah, that's 7/10 that she gained over the last lap. That will be hell is interesting. 1.5 tenths down the first sector as well.
Indeed, and now coming around the left-hander now then goes Roke, and he'll probably be aware that Chung is gaining on him at the moment. The gap 2 seconds now between the pair. Martin's starting to fall back now from the top 2, but as long as nothing bad happens, he's looking good to get his first ever podium in the top class, which would be an amazing result for the Brazilian if he was able to pull that off. And now coming around the long swooping left-hander he goes, as I was trying to have a look there at the gap between Perinin and Willows, but I couldn't quite see that because I wonder if Perinin is actually gaining onto Willows or not. Meanwhile, Lopez is now attacking Andrei Sazonov here as the 2 Toyotas now trying to get back into the race late on, as Lopez now on the inside of Sazonov into towards the first corner. Can the world champion get the move done? No, not quite, but it could bring Gomez close to maybe having an attack on his own teammate here.
Yeah, that will be close between those 3 cars. Of course, we have the returning team, both of the drivers, and then the rookie right in front of these guys, as those Gomez is attacking the current world champion.
On the inside line, heading into turn 3 now, then down the inside goes Gomez, and he gets the move done. Lopez actually has a lock-up going into turn 3 there, and Gomez up to 14th. Now it's his turn to try and attack Andrei Sazonov in front. Meanwhile, the gap 1.6 seconds now between Roke and Chung. I did see it was around about 1.8 seconds between Willows and Perinin, so I think Perinin is definitely gaining onto Willows in the closing stages of this race, but can he grab 4th by the end of the race, I wonder?
Yeah, that will be very interesting indeed to see. So the gap 1.4.
Yep, and we're 1 lap away from when the expected battle is supposed to be. Lap 43 is when it's expected to happen, of course, as the Roke will be feeling pressure soon, I think, from the Haas driver. As meanwhile, Gomez tries to have a go at Sazonov into the Canada corner there, but it's not going to work out, and it could bring Lopez back into play to re-overtake his own teammate here. So the 2 Toyotas too busy scrapping amongst themselves that they're allowing Sazonov to stay in front of them for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. So for Sazonov, that could be something, but now Gomez, I think, could have the opportunity, but Lopez also coming very close.
As they go side by side, could Lopez hang it around the outside of his own teammate into the first corner? No, he can't. And once again, no position swap between those two at the moment. Let's see now then the gap between Roke and Chung as they cross the line to start lap 43 of the Grand Prix when the expected battle was meant to start. And the gap is now 1.1 seconds, so it's still just over a second between the pair of them at the moment. But Chung is definitely quicker at the moment. Meanwhile, Gomez again trying to attack Sazonov down towards turn 3, but again can't make it stick. And Sazonov doing a good job keeping the two Toyotas back at this stage of the race. As meanwhile, 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Will it be Roke or Chung that will take the first victory of 2023?
Yeah, indeed. So, to be honest, it was, to be honest, quite a surprise that we see this kind of battle. At the early parts, we all thought that Amakar would walk away with this race, but then all sorts of bad luck happened to him.
Meanwhile, Suto has got De Rosa right behind, so Suto's 8th place is not secured just yet. De Rosa is trying to put pressure on him in the battle for 8th position. As meanwhile, the two Toyotas are still trying to put Sazonov under a bit of pressure. The other Aston Martin is Lopez is going to try and hang around the outside of his own teammate here, but he can't make it stick, and they've both now lost momentum to the Aston Martin in front. It's now under a second between the top two, as it's now 0.8 between Roke and Chung. Chung is still not within slipstream range yet of George Rowe, but I'd imagine not the next lap, but on lap 45 is when he'll have his first chance. Cars come back in the pits for some reason. Has he had a mechanical problem? So he did. So
yes,
more bad luck for Car. It was a breakage issue. Armar Car, and any chance of points has now gone down the drain. What a frustrating start to the season for the pole sitter.
Yeah, absolutely everything bad happened to him after leading this race. I mean, first, after picking up debris, then the crash with Sonntag, and now this. Oh,
Indeed,
God, you can only feel for that guy.
Yeah, indeed, as we start lap 44 of the Grand Prix, 4 laps to go of the United States Grand Prix. Car comes out in front of these two, so Car might actually do Chung a bit of a favour here, maybe hold up George Roke here. If Roke is not careful, but I'd imagine with the fresh tyres, Car might get away unless the blue flags tell him to get out of the way of the leaders. So Car could actually play a part in this fight for the lead here in this Grand Prix as they now make their way down towards the turn number 3 now. Then Chung not quite in the slipstream yet, but I'd imagine on the next lap.
In the points.
And he's now into the points. He's up into P10. Lopez has finally got past Sazonov. He's up into P13. But as mentioned, I'd imagine next lap is going to be Chung's first opportunity to pounce on George Roke here.
Yeah, that will be absolutely tense final 3 laps. Of course, now we can see that Car is pulling away, so Roke will not have that slipstream from the Mercedes driver. So not that much, but maybe bits still. Let's see how this goes.
We're right on board now with Laura Chung as we've got 3 and a bit laps to go in this Grand Prix now. Then as they make their way down towards the right hand, and 0.4 seconds now the gap between the Red Bull and the Haas, and Roke is already going defensive into Canada corner now. Then through the right hand and we go, using quite a lot of curb on the inside line as they make their way towards the final couple of corners on this racetrack now. Then through the left hand and we go, and now Roke goes really defensive. This is Chung's first chance to get the Red Bull driver now, then to come down the pit straight. Here comes Laura Chung. Is she going to go for the move on George Roke as they come down the pit straight side by side? Go Chung and Roke as they make their way down towards the first corner. Has Chung got the lead of this Grand Prix? Side by side they go, heading into the first corner down the inside, and Chung has got the lead from Roke, and Laura Chung takes the lead of the United States Grand Prix. But can Roke possibly get it back into turn number 3 if he's close enough?
I'm not sure if he's even close enough, because Chung already put out a huge gap in comparison to that time after that move. And yeah, Chung is long gone.
Laura Chung takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Roke too far back, and now Chung should be able to get away from the Red Bull driver as a result. Is she looking at her first victory since 2021 and has this second ever victory in the top class and maybe even the lead in the championship? Meanwhile, Perrinen's out! Aces Perrinen! It's out of the Grand Prix! Tyre on the racetrack! There is a tyre on the racetrack! It's Kloss has got damage! Kloss has got damage on the front wing. He's going to have to pit for a new front wing. Where is that front wing going? Meanwhile, off Kloss is now then as De Rosa is trying to go for a move, but is he at where the debris is? I'm not sure, because the camera cut away there. Luckily, the debris is off the racing line, but Kloss might have cost himself some high points here, but it's a mechanical, but it's a suspension failure that is taking care of Hazelbrand just as he was on the back of Joseph Willows. His front left suspension gives up.
Are you serious, man? This guy has absolutely rotten luck. I mean, that's the 3rd time I can recall the last couple of races that he got his retirement or retired so late in the race.
Indeed, so it's going to be no points for Mercedes in this Grand Prix. It's going to be 0 points next to their name in the first Grand Prix of the season. Klaus is going to have to pit for a new front wing, but it's allowed Sazonov to get up a couple of positions. Suto up a couple of positions in his rookie race, and Anderson will get some points for Williams if it were to stay like this. Byrne is going to get possibly 2 points, maybe 4 points in fact, because Klaus is still in front in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, now it depends where Bartos Klaus will rejoin. That could actually allow Gabriel Gomez to pick up the final point.
Unseen by the cameras, Gomez has actually gone in front of Lopez somewhere, so Toyota could actually get points in their first race back in the top class, providing where Klaus rejoins, of course. Gomez is just coming around turn 2 on the racetrack, as meanwhile the race leader has just started the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here at Road America. Roke is still close behind, but he's losing touch now to the Haas driver. The gap is nearly a second between the pair of them now then, as the Blackwood is up in P5. What a race it has been for the rookies in this race. Blackwood in P5. Suto has just been overtaken by De Rosa meanwhile, as meanwhile, De Rosa will get up to 6th place, so it will be P7 for Joseph Frederick Suto. But what a race it has been for a couple of rookies here today.
Yeah, not just for a couple of rookies, but also what a race it's been for McLaren at all. Joseph Willows is in P4, and Kyrgios was around P6. They would scored 20 points.
An amazing first race of the season. It's been quite an exciting first race here at Road America. I'm kind of glad that this was the first race of the season, because it has produced so far a very memorable first ever race at Road America, and definitely a great opening race to the 2023 season. Kloss is now into the pits meanwhile for Haas. It'll be interesting to see where he does rejoin after that pit stop. Byrne goes up to 8th. Anderson goes up into 9th. Is Gomez going to get into the points meanwhile in the Toyota? Just keep an eye on the bottom of your screen meanwhile to see if he does move up a place or not, as in fact we're going to try and look on the left hand side. In fact, as Kloss is still in the pit lane, he's coming out of the pit lane and he's going to be joined behind Gomez. So Gomez is now into the points paying position, so we could be seeing Toyota getting points in their first race back thanks to Gabriel Gomez. But meanwhile, Loa Chung is about to start the final lap here at Road America, and what a race it has been for Loa Chung, just as a teammate rejoins in front, unless Kloss gets in the way, which he doesn't. Thankfully he gets out of the way of his teammate there, and Chung gets through with no problems whatsoever. But a brilliant race from Loa Chung. She started in 7th place and was looking very quick in the opening stint. She got lucky with Amar Khan having his front wing damaged, but after her pit stop she was flying in that final stint, and she is looking good to get what will be her 6th career victory, her first win since 2021, and the 2nd victory for Haas, and it will give her the early lead in the championship, of course, which will make her the first female to lead the championship in the top class. What a race it has been for Loa Chung here today.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff from her. That was, I think, a dream race. After that stop, she was no match for everyone else. I mean, she had a bit of a battle with Jonathan Martins, but she then left Rogue in her dust. I mean, I think that's, to be fair, it's her best performance so far in the OC yet.
Indeed, as she's going to make her way towards Canada Corner for the 47th and final time here today, and it's just been a brilliant race. Haas had turned up with a car that was very quick and could compete with both Mercedes and Red Bull, and Chung has proved how quick the car is as she rounds out the final corner for the 47th and final time. And after an amazing race, it is going to be Laura Chung who wins the United States Grand Prix here at Road America. An amazing drive from Laura Chung, and Haas take their 2nd ever victory in the top class.
What a story from Haas. They win their home race. They win the first race of the season. Unreal stuff. That is one of the best opening races I've ever seen.
Quantus Martins takes his first ever podium in 3rd position. He'll definitely be happy with that one. Martins picks up his first ever top class podium. Joseph Willows is going to cross the line in 4th. And what a miracle for McLaren. Better reliability. It's going to be P4 for Joseph Willows. What a start to the season McLaren have had. Jafari Blackwood in his first ever race is going to pick up points. An amazing drive from Jafari Blackwood from 19th on the grid. A lot of driver of the day contenders, it must be said. Kirishima De Rosa is going to make a double points finish for McLaren in this race. P6 for McLaren. What an amazing start from the Woking based team, and already a better start to the season than they had last season. Suto in his first ever race will pick up 7th in the Aston Martin. Byrne recovers to P8. Julius Anderson will pick up points in his return. He'll cross the line in 9th for Williams, so 2 points going the way of Williams, and Gabriel Gomez is going to pick up Toyota's first points on their return in P10. He got lucky with what happened with Barger's class, but you need luck at times, and Gomez in Toyota's first race back is going to pick up points for the Japanese manufacturer Quattro. A great drive from Gomez. Lopez misses out in P11, but he'll be happy for his teammate nonetheless. Patel is going to have a race with Carr, Carr across the line, and Patel just holds on to 12th, ahead of Carr in 13th. Sazonov, the last car to cross the line in 14th, and that is the race over, with Laura Chung, the first winner of the 2023 season, and she takes the early lead in the Drivers' Championship as a result. So here is the final results then of the United States Grand Prix here at Road America. Laura Chung takes the first victory of 2023 with George Roque in second. Joantas Martins picks up his first ever podium in third, with Joseph Willows an impressive fourth on the two-stop strategy, with Jafari Blackwood in his first ever race in fifth, Kirishima DeRosa in sixth, Joseph Fenwick Suter a very impressive seventh in the Aston Martin in his first race, with Evan Byrne recovering to eighth in the Red Bull. Julius Anderson picks up points for Williams in ninth, with Gabriel Gomez on Toyota's return to the top class, competing the points in 10th position, followed by his teammate Franco Lopez, who finishes in 11th, and you can do the rest, Dennis.
Oh, I didn't want the race. I cannot. I have to take my breath back. So Rahul Patel finishes in P12 just ahead of Amarcar, with gap 39 thousandths in the end, with Andrei Sazonov in 14th. Then the unlucky Bartos close in 15th, with the even more unlucky Jesus Ponen still classified with Phillips down. And the retirements are Andrea Federi with Water League, Ben Waldiger, Felix Sonntag, Roman Quark, and Michael Mocho with crashes, and of course Chris Chatfield with a transmission failure early on.
And the fastest lap of the race goes to Amar Carr, so it means as a result, no bonus point is going to get awarded because he finished in 13th place. So it means for the first time since 2021, the bonus point for the fastest lap will not be awarded in this race. So yeah, very interesting stuff indeed. Well, to celebrate Laura Chung and Haas's achievements, we will now hear the national anthems of China and the United States of America. Alrighty then, well that has been it then from the United States Grand Prix here at Road America. I hope you have enjoyed it, a very thoroughly enjoyable race indeed, and well, an exciting opening race to kick off the 2023 season, isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, absolutely indeed. What a race. And if this was just the first race, then let's see what the other races has in store for us. But also I have a fun fact for you. Joseph Willows already has more points than last season.
Yeah, indeed. So he'll obviously be already happy with that one, that is for sure. Well, there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the United States Grand Prix here at Road America. I think this will definitely be the new home of the US Grand Prix going forward, because this has been an exciting race indeed. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. The next top class race will, of course, be on next week at the return of the Brazilian Grand Prix at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Interlagos, Sao Paulo. And if you thought that this was an overtake fest today, wait till you see Sao Paulo, of course, as we've seen in the past when the top class race there as well. So already going from one overtake fest of a track to another one next week as well. So hopefully we'll be in for another exciting race in Brazil. But that has been it then, guys. Of course, don't forget this weekend, DTM pre-season testing will be on at the Hungaroring and the fictional St. Gilles circuit over in France. And we will also have the first Formula E race of the season over at ironically, Interlagos in Sao Paulo for the Sao Paulo E-Prix in Brazil.
Nice.
Blake's first qualifying and race that he'll have a host as well, so good luck to him on that one. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, don't forget as well, next week, Formula 2 will be back as well over at Interlagos as well, along with the top class, as will World Champco as well. World Champco will make its return over at the GP layout of Indianapolis, so some exciting stuff to come over the next week or so. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it, so thank you all for watching. I've been JW97, he's been Dennis Graff, and we will see you next time in Brazil. Take care.
Bye, have a great